What's going on, everybody? Adam here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at some Valterra hoses. As you can see, we have a lot and even more in the warehouse to pick from, so whatever your guys' situation is, grab the right hose for you. Pretty much all the ones you see here are going to be drinking water safe, so you're not going to have that weird taste whenever you hook up to your fresh water, fill up a glass of water. You're not going to taste all that nasty stuff. It's made of a material which is going to be safe for you guys to drink, and you guys aren't going to notice anything. It's going to be nice and fresh. So we are going to have a lot of different options. Obviously, some are different colors, but it just depends. A lot of sizes. So we have down here, we have the short 4-foots, if that is something you guys need. If you guys know that your hookup is really close to where you're going to park your camper, go ahead and grab the smaller ones. And of course, we have 10. We have 5, 15, 25, and 50. We have a lot of different sizes for whatever meets your guys' needs. So whenever you guys hook up, a lot of the time the issue is your pressure. So with the RVs, these are pretty much only really rated for about 60 PSI. That's what this camper is rated for. When they put these together initially at the factory or the dealership, wherever they're doing it, they actually go ahead and test the internal tubes of your plumbing system to about 100 PSI, but we don't really want to push that. Luckily, all these hoses are going to have a rating of well over 60 PSI. Some are even double, some even triple. So as you guys can see right here, all the white ones are going to have about 160 PSI. But we are going to have some that are going to have a little bit less. For instance, we have this one right here. It doesn't have that blue little stripe on it. This is only going to be about 120 PSI. And then we are going to have one that is going to be a 5/8 inch diameter, which this is a little bit bigger than what the internal plumbing tubes of your RV are. Usually they're about a 1/2 inch in diameter, and that's pretty much every other hose here is going to be about a 1/2 inch in diameter. A lot of the times it's not really your guys' fault. Sometimes they just don't have a whole lot of pressure coming out of the spigot that you guys are hooking up to, and you can't really do a whole lot about that. But sometimes there's a lot of pressure and we want to regulate it. Valterra does also make a regulator just to protect the inside of your plumbing on your camper, just because it gets really expensive. So we definitely want to take care of that as much as we can. But let's just say everything's good, but we're still having issues. A lot of the times it is restricting due to kinks in our hose. So with these, they aren't really going to kink up too bad. Maybe after a couple summers it gets really hot and there's a lot of water in it. Maybe you have a really steep angle and it starts to kink up at the bottom. If that is something you guys run into, they actually do have an easy coil hose. So this one is not going to kink up whatsoever, in my opinion, just because it coils up really nicely like this. And it's going to be a lot easier to store. I don't necessarily like rolling up my hose at my house, and I can definitely think that I don't want to roll it up and try to find a storage space for it. So this one definitely is going to be the smallest and most compact. The highest PSI rating is going to be the black hoses here. We're actually going to get about 195 PSI with these hoses, and that's a working PSI limit, meaning constant pressure. But it actually can hold up to 375 bursts of PSI, which I don't really recommend, just because it's almost quadruple the rating of our RV here. So if you guys plan on hooking up to something with that much pressure, definitely get the regulator, because you don't want to blow the inside of your plumbing. So that is that. We have a lot of different sizes, 5, 10, 15, of course. And then also we're going to have the little blue ones here, and these are just going to be for you guys who have issues with your hoses kinking, maybe like right at the fitting. As you can see here, we do have a little cover over top of it. That's just going to help it from flexing and everything like that. So if that is an issue for you guys, we do have a bunch of different sizes that are going to have that feature, and that might help you guys out. Looking back at the white ones here, we are gonna pretty much have the same exact deal, a lot of different options, and it's gonna be just the standard fitting, so you don't really have to worry about buying a converter or anything like that. It'll just go right into your regulator or right up to your inlet for your water, and it'll hook right up. There really isn't a whole lot to this stuff. Main thing with it is it's going to resist against kinking and everything like that. You have all the right sizes that you need, and it's gonna be able to rate up to the right PSI that we need for the camper. And of course, all these are drinking water safe, so you're not gonna taste any of that stuff. That's pretty much it. Now we're gonna go ahead and do a test. We tested the etrailer water over there, and we are getting about 60 PSI straight out of the spigot over there on the side of our building. So the test we're going to be doing is I'm going to take a 50-foot hose and a 50-foot hose. This one's going to be about 5/8 in diameter, and this one's going to be about a 1/2 inch in diameter. We're going to see if there's any difference between the two. Run the sink, run the shower, and then see what's going on. All of it is going to be monitored by a Valterra PSI gauge here, and this is just going to go in between your hose and the connection on your RV, but I'm also going to be using another Valterra product, and that's just a 90. This is just going to make it a little bit easier on your hose, just so we don't have any kinking. Just because you hook it straight up here, it's got to go down. So with this, it's already facing down. It's just going to eliminate any issues we might run into. So I'm going to go ahead, put these down, hook this up. Make sure it's nice and tight. All right, then I'm going to hook up my regulator. Not my regulator, but my gauge to the regulator. Make sure that's nice and tight. It should be good. Nice thing about this regulator is that doesn't really loosen it or anything, so I can get it kind of loosened enough to where I get it nice and tight and it's facing out, so I don't really have to reach around it to see. And we're going to start with the 5/8 inch diameter hose. So I'm going to hook this up, and we're going to need the other side. And this is a fresh hose. It's not too warm out, so it isn't as flexible as it could be. The nice thing again about this regulator is I don't have to twist this to get it all tightened up. This isn't gonna loosen anything up top. The shaft just turns, which is really convenient. Putting less stress on the joint too, where it goes into our RV here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and hook this up to our spigot over there by our shop. Nice and easy, big wheel goes on there pretty easily. And now we're ready to go. Well, we have pretty much 60 PSI at this point right here, so we are not losing any pressure with the 5/8 inch hose, but I'm really curious to see what the pressure looks like inside the RV. So let's go ahead, let's go check it out. That's plenty of pressure, definitely nothing under the norm. So I would definitely say that, especially with the 5/8 inch hose, we are pretty much good, not losing any pressure at all, but we have one more check to make, and that's the shower. Obviously not as good as at home, but half of that is, honestly more than half of that is the shower head. It's literally made to conserve water, but I could definitely shower in that. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and test the 1/2 inch hose. You guys know the drill. We're gonna hook it up to the same exact water supply that we did earlier. We're going to see if we have 60 PSI at this gauge here. I am optimistic. I think we aren't going to lose much at all, but who knows? I guess that's why we're here, to test it for you guys. All right, nice and tight. I'm going to go hook this up and then we'll test. 60 PSI. So we didn't lose any PSI even with the smaller hose. But again, let's go check it out on the inside. Same result, plenty of pressure. Yeah, definitely no fluctuations between the two different size hoses. But let's go ahead, we'll go check out the shower. Same exact deal, definitely very consistent between the two different size hoses, and also it was pretty consistent with the water hookup that we are using right now. Obviously that's going to vary depending on where you guys are at and how many people are hooked up to that water source. It might fluctuate a little bit as people use more and less, but all in all, between the two different size hoses, they pretty much operate the same. If you guys are just looking for a hose to connect your camper to the freshwater port at whatever campsite you guys are at, we definitely got you covered. We got all the lengths you guys would need for wherever you guys may be. Or if you guys are just looking to solve a problem, whether it's just your hose is leaking, or it's not long enough, or that water that comes out of it isn't necessarily the best tasting water, or if it kinks up on you. A lot of different issues that come with hose, and I definitely think that these are going to solve a lot of those issues for you. So hopefully you guys go on our website, grab whatever one you want, and then we can go ahead and help you guys out. Other than that, that's pretty much it for our look at the Valterra freshwater hose.